What do you do when your royal title can't shield you anymore? When emails surface that reveal not just poor judgment, but something far more sinister. Prince Andrew, once the Duke of York, once untouchable, is now at the center of a scandal that refuses to die. And this time, it's not just one accuser. It's not just old allegations. It's fresh evidence, emails, witnesses, and a trail that leads straight into the heart of the British monarchy. In the next few minutes, we're going to walk through newly released documents, dissect shocking email exchanges between Andrew and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and reveal why a second woman has now come forward threatening to sue the former prince. This isn't tabloid gossip. This is investigative journalism. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why King Charles himself might be forced to act or risk losing the crown's credibility forever. Let's dive in. Before we get into the scandal, let's rewind. Who is Prince Andrew? And how did a prince fall from grace so spectacularly? Born in 1960, Andrew Albert Christian Edward was the third child and second son of Queen Elizabeth II. For decades, he lived a life of privilege, serving in the Royal Navy, marrying Sarah Ferguson in a fairy tale wedding, and becoming a father to Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. But Andrew wasn't just a ceremonial figure. He was appointed as the UK's special representative for international trade and investment. He traveled the world, shaking hands with oligarchs, billionaires, and yes, convicted criminals. But behind the polished image, whispers began to circulate. Whispers about his friendships, his lifestyle, his connection to a man named Jeffrey Epstein. And that's where this story really begins. Jeffrey Epstein. The name alone sends shivers down spines worldwide. A financier, a predator, a man who built an empire on secrecy, power, and abuse. In 2008, Epstein was convicted of soliciting prostitution from a 14-year-old girl. He served just 13 months under a sweetheart plea deal that has since been called one of the most disgraceful miscarriages of justice in modern history. But during those years, before, during, and after Epstein's conviction, Prince Andrew remained his friend. They vacationed together. They attended parties together. And according to multiple sources, Epstein introduced Andrew to women. In 2019, Virginia Giuffre came forward with explosive allegations. She claimed that she was trafficked by Epstein and forced to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was just 17 years old, in London, New York, and on Epstein's private island. Andrew denied everything. He went on BBC Newsnight in what can only be described as a disastrous interview. He claimed he couldn't have been with Virginia that night because he was at a Pizza Express in Woking. He said he didn't sweat due to a medical condition from the Falklands War. And he said he had no recollection of ever meeting her. The public didn't buy it, neither did the palace. Andrew was stripped of his royal duties, but he remained a prince. Until recently. Fast forward to January 2025. The U.S. Department of Justice released a trove of documents, emails, flight logs, and communications between Jeffrey Epstein and his inner circle. And buried in those files? Emails directly involving Prince Andrew. Let's break down what was revealed. Email exchange number 1, August 2010. In August 2010, after Epstein's conviction, Epstein wrote to Andrew, "I have a friend who I think you might enjoy having dinner with." Andrew replied, of course, "I'm in Geneva until the morning of the 22nd, but would be delighted to see her. Will she bring a message from you? Please give her my contact details to get in touch." Epstein's response? "She's 26, Russian, clever, beautiful, trustworthy. And yes, she has your email. Trustworthy. That's the word Epstein used. Not intelligent. Not interesting. Trustworthy. As in, she won't talk. She won't expose you. She can be controlled." Email exchange number 2, September 2010. A month later, in September, another email chain emerges. This time, Andrew invites Epstein to Buckingham Palace. Quote, "Delighted for you to come to BP. Come with whomever, and I'll be here free from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Epstein replies, "See you at 4 p.m. come with whomever. Translation? Bring whoever you want, no questions asked. This is Buckingham Palace, the seat of the British monarchy. And Prince Andrew was allegedly using it as a meeting spot for Jeffrey Epstein and unnamed women. These aren't just embarrassing, these are damning. They suggest a pattern, a relationship built on access to power, access to privilege, and access to women. But the emails aren't the only bombshell. In January 2025, a second woman came forward with allegations against Prince Andrew. Her name hasn't been made public, but her lawyer, Brad Edwards, says she was trafficked to Britain by Jeffrey Epstein in 2010. She claims she spent the night with Andrew at Royal Lodge, his mansion in Windsor. She was given a private tour of Buckingham Palace, and she was invited for tea. Here's what makes this different from Virginia Giuffre's case. This woman was in her 20s at the time, over the UK age of consent, but that doesn't matter, because UK law criminalizes sex trafficking, and if she was coerced, manipulated, or controlled by Epstein, that's a crime. Period. And here's the kicker. Brad Edwards says there are emails between his client and Prince Andrew, emails that prove they communicated before they met in person. Andrew's lawyers, they don't exist anymore. He's unrepresented. He's not responding. And that silence, it's deafening. According to Edwards, speaking to the BBC, we're talking about at least one woman who was sent by Jeffrey Epstein over to Prince Andrew, and she even had, after a night with Prince Andrew, a tour of Buckingham Palace. At least one woman. That phrase alone suggests there could be more. And if more women come forward, the floodgates could open in ways the palace can't contain. Now here's where this story gets even messier, because this isn't just about Andrew. It's about King Charles. And what he knew. In 2022, Andrew settled Virginia Giuffre's lawsuit out of court for an estimated $12 million. Reports suggest King Charles, then Prince Charles, helped fund that settlement. Why? To protect the monarchy, to make the scandal go away. But it didn't go away. And now, with a second accuser stepping forward, the question is, will Charles bail out his brother again? Graham Smith, CEO of the anti-monarchy group Republic, says it's inconceivable that Charles and Prince William didn't know about Andrew's relationship with Epstein. Palace staff were involved in coordinating financial arrangements between Epstein and Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, who was drowning in debt. Smith argues that if Charles funds another settlement, he should step down. Because in any other scenario, if this were a politician, a CEO, or a public official, they'd be gone, fired, disgraced. According to Smith, there is a general concern and frustration and anger in the country about Andrew, about the fact that he is seemingly beyond any kind of serious consequence. People have said, he's faced consequences, he's lost a lot that is important to him. But it boils down to being told to use his own name and live in a different big house to the one he was living in before, which is not consequences of any kind that most people would have to deal with in these circumstances. Smith also raised serious questions about what the royal family knew and when they knew it. He stated there are serious questions about what Charles knew and when, and these questions also apply to William. Now, William has been an adult senior member of the royal family for more than 20 years now, and it is inconceivable that they would not have wanted briefings from whoever had this information before. So they were aware at least of what it is they needed to protect themselves from and what they were trying to defend Andrew from. But Charles isn't just any public figure. He's the king, and in Britain there's no easy way to remove a monarch. Which means Andrew's scandal isn't just his burden to carry, it's Charles's, it's William's, it's the entire royal family's. So what happens next? Can Andrew be prosecuted? Here's the problem. Virginia Giuffre's allegations date back to 2001, before modern UK sex trafficking laws were in place. The Sexual Offences Act, which criminalizes trafficking, didn't come into effect until 2003. So when British police reviewed Virginia's case, they said there wasn't enough legal ground to pursue it. But this new accuser, her allegations are from 2010, after the Sexual Offences Act. That means the legal framework is different. The bar for prosecution is lower. And here's where it gets interesting. If British police refuse to investigate, which they've been criticized for before, Republic and other advocacy groups are prepared to pursue a private criminal prosecution. In the UK, citizens can apply to become private prosecutors if they believe law enforcement has failed. It's rare. It's expensive. But it's possible. Smith explained the process. Anybody can go to court and apply to a magistrate's court and say, look, I want to take on the role of prosecutor. We have instructed lawyers. We're going to announce this week who they are and get more detail out, but they would then do the investigating, the job that the police should be doing. And if they can build a case that stands a chance of succeeding in a criminal court, they can apply to magistrate's court and say that we want to then take on the role of the CPs, so we would then be the prosecutors. Republic has already hired lawyers. They're crowdfunding, and they're preparing to take Andrew to court, whether the British government likes it or not. Smith was blunt about the police's handling of the case. I think the police have been rather disingenuous. They use excuses about how long ago it was and so on, because they have prosecuted successfully abuse cases going back 40 years. There have been a whole load of cases around things like Operation U-Tree, celebrities, and so on. And they've managed to pursue those, and even where they haven't secured a conviction, they've still managed to get as far as court. With Andrew, they've made literally no effort other than just a brief sort of review and said, oh no, nothing to see here, we're not going to pursue it, which is an absolutely disgraceful response. Public opinion is shifting, and not in the monarchy's favor. According to a poll commissioned by Republic in November 2024, support for the British monarchy dipped below 50% for the third time in 2 years. Most respondents said Queen Elizabeth II did too much to protect Andrew, and most believe the royal family should come clean about what they knew. Social media is exploding with questions. What did Charles know? What did William know? Why is Andrew still living in a palace? Why hasn't he been arrested? Even royal correspondents, people who've spent their careers covering the monarchy, are starting to ask hard questions. Because the old playbook, deny, deflect, settle out of court, isn't working anymore. Smith noted that the public mood has fundamentally changed. The whole mood has changed. Regardless of our membership and our role in this, I think the public attitude is changing quite quickly. And we will start to. There already has been a sharp decline in support for the monarchy over recent years. He also pointed out that even the late Queen's legacy is now being questioned. The big factor is that the Queen was largely untouchable for a lot of people. But now she's not there, people are much more willing to talk not only about what the other royals knew and how it affects them, and what their role was, but are now starting to criticize the Queen as well. Andrew can't hide behind his title. He doesn't have one. He can't rely on public sympathy. He doesn't have it. And he can't count on the palace to protect him forever. Because eventually, the cost of protecting Andrew will become higher than the cost of cutting him loose. So where does this story go from here? The second accuser's lawyers are trying to serve legal papers to Andrew. But here's the problem. Andrew is living at Royal Lodge, a property protected by royal security. If he refuses to accept the papers, if he hides behind palace walls, that becomes another PR disaster for King Charles. Option 1, Charles funds another settlement. The case goes away, but public outrage grows. Charles's credibility takes a massive hit. Option 2, Andrew fights the case in court. Discovery happens. Emails, witnesses, evidence, all of it becomes public. The monarchy's dirty laundry gets aired on a global stage. Option 3, British police finally act. They open a criminal investigation. Andrew faces potential arrest. And the royal family is forced to publicly distance themselves permanently. None of these options are good. But doing nothing? That might be the worst option of all. Smith warned that the allegations will keep coming. These allegations will keep on coming. I wouldn't be surprised if there are further allegations from other people. And I would suggest that, it is going to reach a point where it's untenable. He also highlighted the ongoing visibility of the issue. Charles and William have both been heckled recently. It's going to happen again. People are asking them, "What did you know?" And that question I've seen a lot more recently over the weekend from commentators of all stripes and political persuasions on social media saying, well, what did they know? How much are they covering up? Because it's simply not credible to think that they didn't know anything about this, and yet they have gone out of their way to protect Andrew in order to protect themselves. Prince Andrew was born into privilege. He lived a life most of us can't imagine. But privilege doesn't mean immunity, and titles don't mean you're above the law. The emails are out there, the accusers are speaking, and the world is watching. This story isn't over, not by a long shot. And as more evidence emerges, as more women find the courage to speak, the royal family will be forced to make a choice. Protect Andrew. Or protect the crown. They can't do both. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay updated on this story, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Drop a comment below. Do you think Prince Andrew should face criminal charges? And if you believe in accountability, share this video, because the truth deserves to be heard.